Hello and welcome to today's video. So today is another installment of my single Mingle series. I am really loving this series and I hope you are too. If you are new to this series, it is just my way of cycling through my single shadows to use them more, to kind of push my creativity. I use a random number generator to pull the first 6 shades, and then I get to go in and choose the last 3 shades to create a 9-pan palette. So the palette you see in front of you is the one that I was using from the last round. If you want to see swatches of these colors, I encourage you to go to the previous video. That is where I did that. But I will put up a picture right now of the names and brands in case you are curious. So what is going to happen in this video is first we are going to go through this current palette and I'm going to share the 5 looks that I created with it with you. And then I am going to use a random number generator to pull the next set of shades for the next round. And yeah, we're going to just discuss the new palette. So I'm very excited. I've actually got a new shadow board configuration, so I'm curious to see if I get some like a different kind of set of colors. The ones that have happened so far they haven't been in the same color range, but they've been kind of similar. So I'm excited to see if we get some bright and exciting colors. So that is it for this palette here. Let's get into the 5 looks. So first of all, this color story was very much in my comfort zone. So I really enjoyed using this palette. I didn't find it difficult to put looks together. Some of them were a little similar, but overall I really enjoyed the variety. And yeah, I had a lot of fun playing with these colors. So for the first look, I went in first with this shade here to kind of set up the shape that I like. I went all over the lid with this shade just to kind of create a lighter base. I went over the entire lid with this shade here, and then I used this shade in the inner corner. So for the second look, I really wanted to start playing with these warm tones that I brought in as my free choice shades. So first I went in with this shade here as my transition shade. So my transition increase area is a little bit lighter in this look than the previous look. I went into the outer lid with this shade here just to add some dimension. I went all over the lid with this shade here, and then I brought this shade into the inner corner. And you can see I also did a tiny little black liner as well. For the third look, I really wanted to go into those warm tones. So first I set up my shape with this shade here. I went into this slightly darker shade on the outer lid to add a little bit of depth. I went all over the lid with this shade here. I layered the center with this shade here. This shade here was my inner corner, and then I do believe I went into this peachy shade. I kind of blended these two together just to bring a little bit of warmth in there. You can see a little bit of peachiness in that upper lid area. But yeah, I was actually really pleased with this look. It was just a very nice light. It was simple, it wasn't too showy, but there's just a lot of pretty colors. I really liked how this one turned out. For my fourth look, I think of all of them, this was my favorite look. And really, it was the simplest. I only used 3 shadows for this look, but I love how this turned out. I love how these colors blended together. I went in with this kind of peachy matte just all over to set up the lid. So I used it in the outer area, I used it for the crease, I used it for the transition, I used it on my lower lash line. I just completely set up the shape of the eye look with this shade here. And then I went all over the lid with this shade here. And then I went over the outer portion of the lid with this shade here. And with these 2 shimmers, I brought them up into that that transition area. You can see how the shimmer goes up beyond my lid. I like doing that. I have hooded eyes, so when I'm looking straight ahead, you kind of lose what's on my lid. So I really do like bringing the colors up higher. But I love how those two played together. I love how this one looked layered over top of this. I also brought this color to my lower lash line and this one to my inner corner. So really, yeah, it was just these 3 shades. And I felt really pretty this day. I really have to say I loved how this eye look turned out. And then finally, we have the last look. Now, I will say that in picture form, this one looks very similar to the first look. When I was overviewing them, I noticed they looked very similar, but I remember in person, they weren't as similar. This one was much richer and much deeper in person. Sometimes that just doesn't translate in a photo. But I wanted to play with the darker colors again, and I hadn't really gone into this, this dark matte here, and so I kind of wanted to create a bit smokier and a bit darker of a purple look. So I used this shade here for my transition and crease and really layered that up. You can see the purple shows a little bit more in that transition area. I deepened the outer lid with this shade here, and then deepened it even further just into the corner with this shade here, and I brought this a little bit onto the lower lash line. I really layered this shade here on top of the entire lid, and then I went in with this one here for the inner corner. So again, it does look similar to that first look, but in person it was much more purple, and the outer corner had a lot more depth to it, so it was a bit more of a smokier purple look. Now, I also want to add just 2 bonus products that I found that I was reaching for quite a bit with this palette, just in case you are playing along or you want to play along with this color story. I found that this lip color went really well with this color story. You might notice that I'm wearing it in quite a few looks. So it's kind of this matte pinky mauve color. This is a hard candy shade, lip crayon. They don't make this anymore, but this kind of color went really well with this color story. And then also this light lilac eyeliner. I use this quite a bit in my waterline to go with these, and I just found that these 2 products I was constantly reaching for to kind of complement this color story. So those were the looks that I created with this 9-pan palette. If you played along, I would love to know what your favorite color combinations were. But now I'm going to get these shadows put back on the board, put back in their homes, and we are going to generate the next batch. So I've got the generator set up and to pull 3 numbers from my larger shadow board. If you've been following this series, you may notice that that number that I'm drawing from has changed a little bit. I have recently redone my board. A video just went up on that. But I also kind of did some depotting, and I added some colors that way. You'll also notice in the picture that goes up that there are some blank spaces. I do have a few shadows coming, and I did make room for those. So if I draw a number that has a blank space, I will just redraw that number. So let's get started and draw those first 3 numbers. So there you can see them there, 91, 32, and 4. Just give me 1 second and I will go grab those. So here are the first 3 shades, and wow, we already have a very interesting color story happening. We've got kind of a khaki green. This is a kind of a blue gold shifting shade. And then we have a light mauve. So I don't know what direction this is going to go in, but let's see. I've got my generator set up to draw 3 shades now from my Looksy board. So 1 to 28, and let's see what we get. Okay, so 19, 4, and 12. So the photo should be up so you can kind of see where I'll be going, but I'm going to go grab those and I will be right back. So here are those 3 shades added in, and this is turning out to be a very interesting color story. I don't think I ever would have put these colors together so far. So now it's time for me to kind of evaluate what we have going on here and go into my singles and pick out 3 free choice shades. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do yet, but give me a moment to think about it and we'll come back. But yeah, I'm really excited about this one. Okay, so I think I have made my 3 selections, and I think this is going to be really fun to play with. So next what I'm going to do is go through the swatches of all these shades, just in case you want to play along so you kind of know what kind of colors to look for. Of course, I will be posting a picture at the end of the video with all the names and brands, but as always, I do encourage you to look through your collection and just find things that are similar if you want to play along. So for that first row here are the finger swatches. We have Olive from Coastal Scents, which is this shade here. It's just kind of like a matte medium olive green. Next we have Lakeshore, which is also from Coastal Scents. It is this one here, and it's a really pretty kind of steel blue, but it has a gold shift to it. I think you'll see it better on the hand swatch. And then finally over here we have Winter Wonder by Sydney Grace, and that is just kind of a light mauvey kind of pinky purple. So there are the finger swatches there, and here they are buffed out on the hand. So we have the olive green here, we have Lakeshore here, and Winter Wonder there. So the next three shades were all pulled from one of my Looksy palettes, and here we have them here. So this first shade here is Deep, and it is a medium to dark toned blue, like a cobalt blue, and you can see there is a lighter turquoise shift there. The next shade is Glazed and Confused. It's the center shade here, and you can see it's kind of a warm, kind of peachy champagne metallic. And then the last shade over here is Hustle, and it has a bit of a warm base, and then it's pretty pink. It's like a fuchsia pink with a light blue glittery finish. And here they are swatched out on the hand, so you can see the finishes a little bit more. So here we have Deep, here we have Glazed and Confused, and then there is Hustle. And I think you can see those little glitter particles a little bit better. I also think you can see along the edges there that kind of warm base it has. And then yeah, it's kind of pink with bluey, purpley, glittery specks. So those are the next three shades. And finally, we have my three free choice shades. So I had a lot of fun picking these, trying to figure out what I wanted to kind of work with the shades that were already selected. So first we have Blackberry from Coastal Scents, and it's kind of a deep brown, but it does have a little bit of kind of a plumminess to it. Next we have Aquarius from Looksy Beauty, and it's got a mint base with a very strong gold reflect. And then finally we have on the end there Try Me, and it is from ColourPop, and it is just a really nice kind of darker toned red based purple. And again, here are the hand swatches. So we have Blackberry, we have Aquarius, and I think you can see that gold reflect, and then Try Me. So now I've got the shadows back in their little home here, and let's discuss. So I think this is going to be a really interesting color story to play with. I kind of see some color combinations already, but I'm going to be curious to see where this takes me once I start working with them. The 6 that were selected, I think while they're all very different, there are kind of little pairings in here that help things go together. So I think these two actually go together really well. This is not too dark, so I feel like I can use this as a transition shade. And even just these two shades, like set up the look with this, layer this over top, I think would be really pretty. These two here I think pair really well. Again, I feel like I can use this as a lighter transition shade, set up a look. This is a little bit more pink than I usually go for. It looks quite purple in the pan, but blended out, it was quite pink. So that is why I brought in this darker purple matte. I figured if I layered this over this one, it would just bring out that purple a little bit more. So even these three here I think will work really well together. I wanted to bring in one darker matte for deepening the outer corner. You guys know that I like to have a deepening shade, so I chose Blackberry because it's very neutral. But it does have kind of a purplish undertone, so I felt like I could easily use it with these kind of greens here, but then I could also use it with the purples and it would still work really well. And then I felt like I wanted another inner corner shade. So this here, the Glazed and Confused, is a really nice kind of peachy gold champagne. So that's going to work really well for inner corner, especially with these more olivey kind of green shades. But I felt like I wanted something that would both be a contrast and then also something that was just a little bit more colorful. So I chose Aquarius because it has that kind of minty green base. I felt it would look nice with the other greens and also the blue, the cool tones. But the strong gold shift would make it pop. I think it would make for a really interesting topper, just to kind of dab on the center of the lid. Yeah, I feel like this, like even this as the inner corner in a purple look, I think would be really cool. I think it will combine with this blue. You guys know that this kind of blue is not usually what I'm comfortable working with, but I have a feeling that blending these two might give me like a nice turquoise. I don't know, but that's why I brought this one in. So all in all, I'm kind of excited to play with this palette. I'd love to know what you guys think of this color combination. What colors would you put together in a look? But that's basically it for this video. I'm going to go off and play with this and create 5 looks with it, and then I will be back to share those with you. So as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a fabulous day, and I will see you in the next one.